a list of 2,000, almost 2,000 plants and animals and mushrooms. But the networking that took place between biologists that had never met each other, because the mushroom people talked to the mushroom people.
Right.
And the bird people talked to the bird people, and the bug people talked to the bug people, and most of them did not know each other. And to have the excuse of a superstar like Ed Wilson here, and many other superstars in their own respective fields coming together, has cross-fertilized a whole bunch of people's endeavors here scientifically and recreationally. And a lot of birders got into plants and damselflies and many other things. So it was very worthwhile that way.
Was it just experts that time?
That was just invited experts. This got the attention of the Secretary of Environmental Affairs for the state of Massachusetts, a guy named Bob Durand, who was a state senator originally from not too far away, and a former U.S. Congressman, Chester Atkins of Concord, multi-term U.S. Congressman, who was a friend of Bob Durand's and a friend of mine and the family's. And so we all got together and had a meeting out here at my house in West Concord, and we decided to bring into the state government the first ever government-sponsored biodiversity days in the world. But this was aimed to have some of the experts share their expertise and enthusiasm with school children and or adults, and we set up walks in town after town. Altogether, over the 4 years, I think 300 towns were involved with a minimum of 2 field trips. Some towns had 20 field trips. They'd have a mushroom walk, they'd have a bird walk, they'd have a plant walk, and various general things, because some people know more than that. This is a little paper copy of the original one we did in 1998 here in Concord, with the Latin names, English names if they existed, and where in the town or who saw them, who claimed them for reference. And at the American Museum of Natural History, we have specimens of virtually all of the insects that were collected that day. But page after page, this is in one day, never been done before. Trees and shrubs and mushrooms and ferns. I mean, look at all these. These are mosses. We had moss experts. We had lichen experts out here. Look at these lichens. And it became clear that many of these things don't have, English names, once you get away from the birds and the butterflies. And the botanists don't seem to care about English names so people can communicate. Then we got involved, with the state of Massachusetts for 4 years under Governor Saluzzi and Governor Swift. And for 4 years, in June, we took like a week, and I would go around to many, many schools, and other people's would, and would lead trips all over the place, and then we'd have a grand event.
You're talking about we? Is that like the original
We at the government.
You of the government, so you and the people you were working with?
Yes. There was a Sharon McGregor here at the government who was overseeing things for us, and so we printed up something, a little beginner's checklist, birds and mammals and bugs, and trying to get people to look at everything and to know that we can learn about things and the interrelationships of all of them. And this was the form we did. We did this for 4 different years, a report form, which all ended up on a computer, which is still at the state government. We went through with English names and Latin names. I mean, it looks like a final exam here, but there are people that know this stuff. And the interesting thing is, here's the results of the first time we tried to do it. It's the first government anywhere, federal or state. This is the results of our 2000 Biodiversity Day. This little map here just shows the towns that got involved the first time we did it, which means they had 2 or more field trips. Some towns had, dozens of field trips. And then we compiled all the different reports coming in for all sorts of things. So if we go into like Oriental bittersweet, we had it in 64 towns. I mean, it probably occurs in all 351 or whatever the number is right now, to give us some idea of how widespread some of these things are. But we have records, so we put in the English names, the Latin names, the number of towns, and organized the whole thing. It's available on computer and on paper. And then we looked through in the front matter, county by county in Massachusetts, who were what towns did well. It's sort of a competition thing, like the home run derby last night in the All-Star game prelude. So here's the Bristol County, the town of Dartmouth. We had 846 species seen there. It was interesting that no town ever came close to the nearly 2,000 that we had here in Concord.
Well, they probably didn't have the experts.
Didn't have the experts. But what evolved in this, because we had people from Connecticut and New York and Maine and New Hampshire and wherever up here, then the concept of doing sort of these all-species biodiversity days, which has been shortened to Bioblitzes, did start to take off around the country. And there's many states, Connecticut and Rhode Island in particular, that have been doing what they call Bioblitzes, every year. And more significantly, Ed Wilson had a visitor at the time of our Concord Biodiversity Day on July 4th, 1998, from Geo magazine in Germany, which is like a big National Geographic with green edges. And the photographer there was very interested in natural history, and so they photographed what we were doing here in Concord, Massachusetts, and ran, a multi-page color picture article of Ed Wilson and his aunts and other people. And now, I don't know the exact number, but somewhere around 15 countries in Europe are now doing biodiversity days or bioblitzes at different places. And from what we hear, some of them, it might be in Germany, but people will be coming from Spain and Bulgaria and Sweden to hang out, not just with mushroom people or not just with bird people, but all of visible nature, and cross-fertilizing all sorts of things, because we know, everything's related out here, but it's really taking off in Europe, but as assemblies of experts.